This is VOA Africa.
Hello, I'm Esther Githui-Ewart. It's Wednesday, April 15th. This is Africa 54. Due to the global outbreak of COVID-19, Voice of America is taking every necessary precaution to safeguard its employees. So our broadcast will look a little different today and in the near future, as we, out of an abundance of caution, reduce our staffing at our VOA headquarters here in Washington. We're working to help keep you informed about what's going on, and we appreciate you staying with us on Africa 54. China is reacting on Wednesday to U.S. President Donald Trump's turning decision to withhold funding to the World Health Organization over its handling of the global COVID-19 outbreak, attracting international condemnation from infectious disease experts. China's health ministry says Trump's decision to withhold funding to the WHO will affect all countries as the world faces a critical stage in combating the coronavirus outbreak. President Trump says the WHO did not adequately investigate early reports of the virus in China. The president says the Geneva-based organization promoted China's disinformation about the coronavirus that likely led to a more critical situation than otherwise would have occurred, and it must be held accountable. There are now 2 million confirmed worldwide cases of COVID-19, and the global death toll has climbed above 126,000, according to Johns Hopkins University. Now to Africa, where Malawi joined other Southern African nations in announcing a 3-week lockdown on Tuesday to curb the spread of coronavirus. Most Southern African countries, including South Africa, Angola, Namibia, and Zimbabwe, have previously announced full or partial lockdowns. South Africa has over 2,000 cases of COVID-19. A flight carrying medical supplies from the WHO landed in Ethiopia Tuesday. The shipment of 1 million masks, goggles, gloves, gowns, and other protective gear for health workers, as well as ventilators for patients, is to be flown to Djibouti, Sudan, Eritrea, Somalia, and Tanzania. With COVID-19 infections believed to be peaking in several parts of the United States, politicians, economists, and doctors are discussing whether it will be safe in the coming weeks for people to leave their homes and return to work. But before America decides when to reopen its economy, political leaders are debating who has the authority to make the decision. VOA White House correspondent Patsy Widakuswara reports.
The 1935 film Mutiny on the Bounty is about a rebellion by the ship's crew over the captain's management style. In a tweet Tuesday, President Donald Trump said it was one of his favorite movies, commenting especially when the mutineers need so much from the captain. Trump presumably was referring to a group of Democratic governors who are banding together to collectively decide when they want to reopen their states.
The president is clearly spoiling for a fight on this issue. The worst thing we can do in all of this is start with political division.
New York's Andrew Cuomo and other governors are working together to develop a strategy for gradually easing stay-at-home restrictions in their states. President Trump says that decision is not entirely up to them. Responding to VOA's question on Monday, Trump declared that he has total authority on the issue.
I'm going to put it very simply. The President of the United States has the authority to do what the President has the authority to do, which is very powerful. The President of the United States calls the shots.
Trump's statement started a firestorm on state versus federal authority in a national emergency.
On its face, what President Trump said is simply wrong. There is no sort of plenary authority in the president, even in times of emergency, to have total authority to do whatever he wants.
Governors have pushed back, including Michigan's Gretchen Whitmer.
There's nobody who would rather be able to push a button and just return to life as normal. But no button exists in this environment.
During the pandemic, the federal government has helped ensure states have the supplies and resources to take care of their citizens. Lawmakers have also passed a $2 trillion plan to support the economy. But governors and mayors have the authority over local matters of public health and safety, including keeping people in their homes and closing businesses.
The president has every incentive to want to improve the economy. He has a lot of financial wherewithal at his disposal to do so. It puts him in a very different position than the governors and the mayors, who are the frontline defense in terms of keeping people at home to protect public safety, but in ways that really do keep the economy limited.
Despite disagreements over who can order the nation's slow return to normalcy, ultimately the virus will determine its own timeline, said Trump's top health expert, Dr. Anthony Fauci.
I think how you reopen, if you want to use that word, the economy in those communities is going to depend a lot on the ability to contain what we know will happen. I'll guarantee you, once you start pulling back, there will be infections. It's how you deal with the infection that's going to count.
Trump has considered opening up parts of the country as early as May 1st. Dr. Fauci says that may be overly optimistic. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News.
Spain is following Italy in talking about scaling back coronavirus restrictions as its numbers start to recede. But the nightmare is far from over in the country's nursing homes, where the virus is claiming its largest percentage of victims. In this report from Barcelona, narrated by John Spear, Alfonso Bito tells us Spain is shocked by reports that elderly coronavirus patients have been found dead in their beds, and some facilities have been abandoned.
Like everywhere else, the elderly here have been the group worst hit in this pandemic. It became an all too familiar scene, the dead being transported from nursing facilities daily. The vulnerable are many. Spain has one of the world's largest populations of elderly people. 19% of Spaniards are over 65. There are 5,400 nursing homes in the country, with 380,000 people in them. The group, representing private and public operators of these homes, blames the government for not providing the supplies needed.
We are taking care of people who are high risk. They have told us from the start that the most vulnerable people are the seniors, and we are demanding attention. But not only do we not have personal protective equipment, but they are not giving us the tests for detecting the epidemic.
In many cases, the sickest people are not taken to hospitals. The nursing homes do not have the necessary equipment to treat the illnesses. There is no option but to sedate the dying.
What they are providing us are mainly morphine and sedatives.
Families suffer because they cannot go into the facilities to say goodbye to their loved ones, who then die alone, with only nursing assistants at their bedside. Nursing homes are a $5 billion business in Spain, and one that is growing by 4% each year. Critics complain they are attracting corporations and investors with no tradition of working in elderly care, but are in it only for the money.
Todos estos buitres que han venido únicamente a ganar dinero del cuidado de las personas mayores dejen de hacerlo.
All of these vultures who have come only to make money from caring for elderly people need to stop these money-making practices, and the elderly care business has to have the benefit for society as its only aim.
At this nursing home alone, at least 31 people have died. At various homes owned by one corporation, 480 people perished, prompting the government to step in and take over 13 of the company's facilities. For Alfonso Beato in Barcelona, I'm John Spear, VOA News.
The United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization says efforts to contain the desert locust upsurge in East Africa continue despite restrictions on movement of personnel and equipment due to COVID-19 pandemic. Edward Barron reports.
As if the threat from the coronavirus itself wasn't enough, it's also complicating efforts to stop the second locust invasion to hit East Africa in recent months. In Ethiopia, Somalia and Kenya, the locusts pose an unprecedented threat to food security, according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. They're continuing efforts to contain the upsurge, despite restrictions on the movement of personnel and equipment such as pesticides, because of coronavirus containment measures. Ambrose Gitich is a UN project officer.
And you find that every time you are trying to control in one region, there is another swarm that is happening in a different region, and it is not possible to control them simultaneously.
Locust numbers exploded late last year, encouraged by unusual weather patterns. The swarms dispersed eastwards from Yemen. This wave of insects is hitting just as the new season crops are being planted. For farmers like George Dodds, it spelt disaster.
The small-scale farmers, it's a very big problem. And for the food security of Kenya, especially after a problem like the coronavirus, how are we going to feed Kenya? All of our produce is for local consumption.
A single swarm of desert locusts covering 1 square kilometre contains up to 80 million of the pests. UN estimates say the number of locusts could increase another 20 times in the upcoming rainy season unless control activities are stepped up.
That was Edward Barron of Reuters reporting. COVID-19 is forcing many small business owners to put the American dream on hold. While countless brick-and-mortar stores have closed their doors during the pandemic, some owners are finding new outlets for their entrepreneurial spirit. Jordan Wyatt reports from St. Louis, Missouri.
Emily Struckoff owns the Hair Lab, a salon in St. Louis. With COVID-19 cases spiking across the region and no way to protect her employees and clients from the virus, Emily made the tough decision to close the Hair Lab in mid-March.
I just couldn't bring myself to expose my staff over and over and over because we see so many people in a day. That's a lot of exposure for a service that is so non-essential. So it was a pretty big punch to the gut. Lots of scrambling and trying to figure out what to do, but at the same time, there's really nothing we can do.
As a single mother with 2 high school-aged sons who were diving into online learning, Emily found she suddenly had a lot of free time on her hands. She had an idea.
The first week that we were closed, I did not know what to do with myself. Doing a Shopify store, like a print on demand, like things like that, is actually something that I had looked into years ago. It was always something that I would kind of get started or read about, watch some videos on how to do it. And then in trying to do like full-time job and be a mom and everything else, it would always fall to the wayside. And I'm like, someday I'll tinker with that.
This time, Emily did more than tinker, launching a quarantine-themed apparel business.
I didn't even think too long about it. It's like my quarantine dreams coming true. So yeah, the website is My Quarantine Dreams. So it was kind of fun, like setting it up. It was even a little bit easier than I had expected. And I was able to design a few of the items without having to handle any of the inventory. I can order samples just so I can see what the quality is like and things like that, which I have.
Business has been taking off. Customers can order hats with EU, COVID, or quarantine hair printed on them. A baby onesie reads, "Conceived in quarantine."
Most of these sales that are coming in are friends and family and people that are just like, this is really cool that you're doing this. We want to support you. It was their way of being able to show support. So that was pretty cool. I'm starting to see orders come in from people that I don't know. Obviously, I don't think that this will be a long-term thing because I hope we're not in quarantine long-term. But it was a fun project to kind of take my mind off of things.
Jordan Wyatt for VOA News, St. Louis, Missouri.
In recent days, workers at a medical center in the southern state of Louisiana have been greeted with expressions of gratitude from an unnamed artist sketched out in chalk on a New Orleans sidewalk. VOA's Mariama Diallo reports on the uplifting effects it's having on the hospital staff.
It's a simple gesture that brought smiles to the faces of many hospital employees.
So as you're walking in, it says, if you're just arriving, thank you for what you're about to do. And then as you walk a little bit further, it says, you are extraordinary.
First-year resident Leslie Miller, who works in the hospital's pediatrics unit, stops to read the colorful messages left by the mystery rider.
And then as you leave and you're walking out to go home, it says, if you are leaving, thank you, rest well. So it was very sweet of whoever did that. It definitely meant a lot to me, and it was a surprise, a colorful surprise, walking out and going home to go to bed after a long shift.
The messages are heartwarming to see, says lab technician Minerva Martin.
Oh, it's nice. It's really nice. Yeah, give us hope.
New Orleans is in the state of Louisiana, where so far about 20,595 coronavirus cases have been confirmed. The Ashner Medical Center is one of the largest hospitals in the area and has recently converted regular rooms into intensive care-like units to accommodate the sudden surge in COVID-19 patients. Mariama Diallo, VOA News.
We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54 and the stories we cover. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also, check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, we take you to Ghana for a glimpse into the growth and future of the African gaming industry. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back to Africa 54. Former U.S. President Barack Obama endorsed his former second-in-command, Joe Biden, for president Tuesday, calling Biden a clear choice to replace President Donald Trump in November's national election.
With the United States focused on the coronavirus, former President Barack Obama says the nation needs new leadership.
The kind of leadership that's guided by knowledge and experience, honesty and humility, empathy and grace. That kind of leadership doesn't just belong in our state capitals and mayor's offices. It belongs in the White House. And that's why I'm so proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States.
On Monday, Biden's longest-lasting challenger, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, also backed him as the nominee.
So today I am asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse.
An analyst says the endorsements send a signal that Democrats are uniting.
They're also really important in the context of this pandemic because it's really hard to get a lot of earned media attention. You can't do rallies. There are fewer opportunities for press events to get covered by the press. But these endorsements are the types of things that can actually get a lot of attention in the midst of the discussions of the coronavirus.
Biden needs to tap the support of the young people and progressives who supported Sanders, says a leading progressive Democrat.
I think that we need to make moves to make voters enthusiastic about Joe Biden. Donald Trump, whether we like it or not, has an enthusiastic base, and that is something that we have to contend with one way or another.
With much of the country in lockdown, both campaigns face the challenge of reaching out to voters during an international crisis.
And so we hope that this pandemic ends soon enough so that the campaign volunteers who are raring to go on both sides can go out and talk to voters personally and actually ask for their votes.
Or the candidates may need to rely on social media and maintain social distance as they make their case to the voters. Mike O'Sullivan, VOA News, Los Angeles.
In our tech report, the gaming industry as a form of entertainment has grown to become a spectator sport. An increasing number of young Africans are honing their gaming skills, intending to build professional careers in the fast-growing industry. In Ghana, Letty Arts, creators of African Legends, is proving that African-created content has an essential place on the global stage. Africa 54 tech reporter Paul Ndiho spoke with Ariam Tawia, co-founder and CEO of Leti Arts, based in Accra, Ghana, who shares his thoughts on the future of the gaming industry in Africa.
Leti Arts is helping change the African narrative through video games and comics, that's simply put. So basically, we are using games and comics to preserve the cool African history and folklore that we have, in leveraging on cool superheroes, right? So Africa has so many rich stories that are not being passed on like the traditional way we used to pass it on, tell stories. Now every kid is looking on the phone, on the iPad. So yes, there's a need to leverage on new interactive technology, which is games, to preserve the rich history and folklore that we have. And in doing that too, we introduce into Africa gaming technology, because games, is not something here, but it's the biggest industry in the West. It's bigger than the movie and the music industry combined, if I should be right. And Africa has over 1 billion people. We are over 1 billion people, and that industry is still not here.
What kind of challenges have you faced as an entrepreneur?
Yes, as a gaming entrepreneur. Right. Yes, the main challenge in the creative industry, or this gaming industry here, the first one is skill set, human resource. You don't have skilled resources in this field. So you have excellent programmers, you have excellent artists, but they are not skilled in video games. So when you bring them on board, you are challenged to train them, yet still pay them what they are worth, but train them in what they are being paid to do.
When you talk about Africa, a lot of people will be like, the gaming industry is non-existent in Africa.
Yep.
So for you guys who are like really leading the path of the gaming industry, when you talk to people, what is it that they tell you? Are they excited about this gaming industry? Are they, or they're curious about where it's going?
Yep, it's a mixture. A lot of curiosity and a lot of doubt before. When you meet someone, you're like, I've never seen someone making games in Africa. Do you, like, how is this? So that curiosity will bring them in. We try to live a full-time life around games. Myself and my co-founder, Wesley Kirinya, we put our lives on this, that we need to make it making only games. So we are programmers. We could have been doing banking applications or websites for people like in the tech industry, but we want to chart this path.
We never had African legends, for example. We just watched this
Superman,
Spider-Man, but we never had our own kind of people that we look up to. What inspired you to get into that space?
The first time I saw Thor in Avengers stop a car with his hammer got me curious about where that power came from. Captain America always saving the city from aliens in the US. Why can't aliens also land in Africa? Black Panther, at least Black Panther is in Africa, but it's being told by Marvel. So we can tell our stories better. So it's these questions that baffled my mind when I was growing up, drawing all those characters. So I used my final year project to turn one of my productions in junior high school into a true 3D game, which was Sword of Cygos. And that went very far. Like it became, that was in 2006, it became the game that have been made in Africa from Ghana for the first time. I realized that MIT picked it up and did a competition amongst African games, and we won. Then from there, like people started seeing it. That's how I met my co-founder, Wesley. So we realized that gaming was interesting and new.
How big is the gaming industry?
There are a lot of factors that need to be solved. Then we can now quantify what the gaming industry is in Africa. So I can still just tell you that the potential is huge.
That was Africa 54 technology reporter Paul Ndiho speaking with Ariam Tawia, co-founder and CEO of Leti Arts in Accra, Ghana. Technology entrepreneurs in Estonia recently hosted a global hackathon in a movement that attracted more than 100,000 developers from 40 countries, creating platforms to improve life and work from home. Michael Sullivan reports.
With much of the world under lockdown, from New Delhi to Cape Town, millions are doing schoolwork and jobs from home. Technology events called hackathons, where creative teams tackle IT problems, need to be held remotely. That's happening now.
We gather people together with very different skills, with different competence. We brainstorm ideas and we actually build them into working prototypes.
A recent hackathon created a map of COVID-19 cases in Estonia, where the online movement Hack the Crisis started. Other teams developed a health questionnaire and a site to link volunteers with medical backgrounds. Dozens of countries are now involved.
People said that we were in lockdown, and we knocked down the lockdown, and we felt so connected with everyone.
India has a huge pool of technology talent. These robots deliver food to patients in isolation. Similar ideas emerged from a recent Indian hackathon.
There is an AI-enabled robot which will be very helpful to disinfect via UV rays in quarantine wards.
Estonia, where the global hack is based, is a small nation in Northern Europe that embraced the digital revolution early.
Computers were, getting widespread. We thought we can use IT in order to make our government leaner and, smoother, and bring it closer to its citizens.
With close ties to IT developers, Estonian officials have embraced hackathons, which are open to people with or without technology skills.
Not everybody has to be actively hacking, but can join in the community as well.
Online mentors include Italian astronaut Samantha Cristoforetti, Russian chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov, and former Estonian president Toomas Hendrik Ilves. The man who proposed online hacks says people confined at home can address the pandemic.
And can actually come together and do something about it at the same time together, using digital, using internet.
To help in this and future crises, Mike O'Sullivan, VOA News, Los Angeles.
And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thanks for watching.
Thank you.